Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So, there's been a lot of bear sentiment in the market since the ETF approval. We're going to talk about some of these things. I keep it real. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly. If you want to know what's going on with the market, I'm going to go a deep dive in the way I see it. We're going to go a lot of data points. We're going to talk about some news things. It's probably going to be a little bit of a longer video. If you want to be rubber stamped on what your own thoughts are, then go listen to your favorite perma bear or perma bull. But we're going to take a deep dive into what's going on in the market. And, I'm not a perma bull, guys. I've been bullish since 15K, but, I have the receipts and proof to back that up. These are orders when I bought, all this BTC at 15K. And I put it on Twitter. These are my orders where I'm going to sell. And not all of them got filled. I was a little greedy myself. I had 48K was where I had been targeting, and we're going to talk about that when I look at chart. But markets like to hit round numbers, so I did have some up there around 50K, but that was my plan. You see, I said stick to my plan. I posted all that ahead of time, and I even posted several receipts before this that I thought pumping. That once it was pretty much like you see these ETF tickers coming out, everything, it was pretty much a done deal that the market would probably pump into that approval and then sell off some during the when trading actually started. And so far that's what we've seen. But we're going to look at BTC, we're going to look at ETH, we're going to go a deep dive into some of these things that's going on right now. All right, guys, so we're going to start here on BTC on the daily. I tell people if it looks bearish on chart, I'm going to tell you, it looks bearish. And all I do for study right now is look at videos about main trend reversals and things like that. So all this stuff is fresh in my head. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the daily, but my analysis, generally speaking, it comes from weekly and daily time frames. So you got this long wick up here, breaking above, almost like a fake out, if you want to call it that. But that long wick and it closing bearish, that's not great, And then you get this follow through bar closing below its midpoint, but not on its low. And you did find support at the 58 moving average both times, but you see bears are getting the close closer. Now, if you look at where the demand zone kind of is here for Bitcoin, that's how I draw it anyway, from this body candle, these wicks. See, look, demand. This didn't even get here this time. Demand, didn't even get here again this time. So it's not all bearish, but, you can't disregard this big candle closing on the daily. When I look at a ranging pattern, I kind of look at it as like, who's winning the arm wrestling battle, bulls or bears? And look at where the stronger candles are. The stronger candles are bear candles. Now, that doesn't mean it's a death sentence. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing on chart right now on the daily, and this candle did not close but below any significant structure. You hear the risk reward a lot, but a lot of these traders and people out here, they don't talk about probability. So say you were worried the market was going to go down, so you can sell here at 42.8, and the probability isn't as great that it's going to go down. But if you sell once it breaks here and there's a more probability it's going to go down, then you get the not as good of a price. So like the risk reward isn't as good, and it's always going to be a trade-off with that. So this is the daily. So now let's look at how this relates to the weekly, because the weekly is really what I like to go off of. All right, so this long wick on the weekly, we're likely going to close bearish. A red close, that's not great. It's not the worst topping pattern I've ever seen. But this long wick up here, if you want to call it a higher high double top, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's not a great candle on the weekly. Once again, I'm not saying it's a death sentence just yet or anything like that. But, I'm not expecting higher prices this upcoming week for BTC. Now, we'll just take it, a weekly and daily candle at a time. But this is what I'm seeing for BTC. And I'm going to talk about some of the things going on with BTC, with the ETF, here in just a second, and some of these things that may be affecting price in the short term. Macro, we're still looking, so let's look at the monthly real quick. So look, bull bar closing on its high, bull bar closing on its high, bull bar closing towards its high, but you have a wick. And now this, it's a pin bar, it's still bullish, and we still got time left in the month. But, when you start to see these things, you can either validate yourself and rubber stamp your own thoughts, or, take, in what the chart's kind of telling you. And we may be in for a breather for BTC, but I'm going to talk about some of these things in the video. Maybe that isn't the worst thing. And before we go on to some of those points, I want to hop back in the daily and weekly and just clarify some things real quick. So the orders that I did not get filled up here around 49K or at the 50, where I was being a little greedy like we talked about, I will be looking to sell that between 45 and 46. I'm not scared to say that. For one, it can make a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern here. It could be like the right shoulder. But a lot of traders, when they see this, they consider that's why always in short. Like we're looking to kind of short the market now, like lower time frames and and guys trading off lower time frames. So I will be looking to sell that BTC there. And we look at the weekly. Why did I say 48K? Way back here. I did think this was the bottom here, but it was once we got this candle right here. It closed. Look, that's not an accident. How it's like right there above that FTS breakout point. It wicked above it, but it did not close. But once you got that follow through bar, a good follow through bar, closing above structure and even closed above that structure there, I was like, yeah, 48K is probably likely because this looks like a breakout coming out. And I expected it to take that local high out. And then, so when the market races down like this and doesn't form a lot of structure, I felt this was a weak swing high. So that ultimately Bitcoin was breaking out of a bottoming pattern. Even if we saw some kind of double bottom down the road, that it is likely it could take that high out. And then this was the most prominent swing high in the market. And it was at 48K. And we did go above that, but look, it sold off hard. And I know people talking about the ETF and stuff like that, but you have to understand, traders run the market. And there's going to be guys, there's people that bought this head and shoulders breakout and they were looking for this. There's people that bought this breakout and they're looking for this target. So there's a lot of traders, people that, to be honest, they don't really care about BTC and the greater, all this stuff. They're traders. They're trying to make money, so they're going to take profit here, whether you like it or not. You can watch the chart and take what the chart's giving you, or you can try to, have hopium and hope, cross your fingers and hope certain things are going to happen. At the end of the day, you have to look and take what it's going to give you. You can't make the market do something it's not going to do. It's like a living thing. So a lot of traders are going to take profit here, ETF or not. They don't really care. And so that's some of the things I just wanted to clarify real quick going forward. So I will be looking to sell some of my BTC around 45 to 46. The limit orders didn't get filled up here. Now, as far as anything after that, I'm just gonna have to see how the price action develops. I'm not racing to sell my BTC, but this is stuff I bought at 15K. I already took about a little more than half profit. A little less than half profit actually, but if I get these limit orders filled, it'll be more than half profit. So I just want to clarify that going forward before we start talking about some of these other points of what's going on with the market. So here I'm going to talk about the ETF and how some of these things are affecting price right now. So if this stuff doesn't interest you, just skip ahead in the video. It'll be timestamped. So the ETF. So I try to look at things on chart and I don't let the news try to affect me too much. However, when there's a big event that's like almost unprecedented like this, or just something down the road, if you're in this market, you'd be an idiot not to educate yourself about it. So the ETF is something that I'm very educated on. I've been following this for like over 2 years. And the best thing I can say when you're following a story like this is just don't read the headline, read the article, find out who these important people are in it, see who's saying what, where it's being reported from, familiarize yourself with it, and don't let yourself be manipulated by the news and let it aid you. But this is a big story and I've been following it for a long time, and it'll be the same way it was on the bearish case. If there was like some kind of vote in the US Congress a year down the road or something like that where they were going to vote on banning Bitcoin or altcoins or something like that, making them securities, then I would be educated on that as well. It's not a bull or a bear thing. When you got these big events, you should educate yourself on. So this is from November 24th, 2023, saying Grayscale Bitcoin Trust could see 2.7 billion outflows. The ETS conversions approved. And Grayscale is kind of the dark horse in this ETF thing because they already had a big fund for it. So it actually probably would have been a little more bullish if all the ETFs got approved and Grayscale got denied. And Grayscale was the one that had a least probability, a lesser probability anyway. They had some issues with the CEO, but they handled that. And then going into the approval, Grayscale was looking pretty good. But in my Telegram group, guys that have bought BTC really low, like my really good friend in real life, he's kind of like a semi-whale. He bought a lot when BTC was at the bottom and it was almost at a 50% discount. So it's like 8 to 9K BTC. So once the discount's gone, people want to get out of that GBTC. Matter of fact, the day the ETF got approved, it was trading at a slight premium compared to BTC. So what do you think these people are doing? They're going to sell it. Now, some of these people I'm referencing, they still want to be in BTC. They want the money back in BTC, but GBTC is a stock that's tied to the price of Bitcoin. So when it sells, the Bitcoin sells. So that money's got the fiat's got to clear their bank and they got to put it back into crypto, and they still want to put it back in the crypto market. But they're like, why am I going to hold GBTC if I can have actual BTC? So GBTC sell-off was actually expected, So, and then this other article that refers to the Grayscale. This was actually today. Grayscale BTC outflows as new Bitcoin ETF attracts inflows. So that's exactly what you're seeing is a lot of GBTC, excuse me, being sold off. And you also have them switching switching funds around and stuff like that. These just big things, these things that large entities do. Grayscale and Fidelity and BlackRock shifting these things around. So it's a lot of it changing hands right now. And that's where some of the volatility and price fluctuation comes from. And the Grayscale sell-off was actually expected. All right, so something else I want to touch on is something called OTC, over-the-counter deals. And so what is that? So if you're a whale or a big entity like these people like buying Bitcoin for the ETF, you don't want to do that on the spot market. You run into a whole lot of issues. I mean, what are you going to do? Put like $100 million on the order block or what? Well, I don't think you're buying that much yet, but like a big amount on the order block and have these traders trying to front run you and all these kinds of things. So they don't want to do that. And it's the same thing with some of these big entities and big people that want to sell it. They got the same issue. So it's what's called over-the-counter Bitcoin. So they use a third party, like Coinbase and Kraken. They have them. I mean, it's something that whales and big entities do. So I don't do it obviously, but I know some whales and stuff. So if you want to buy like 10,000 Bitcoin and somebody wants to sell 10,000 Bitcoin, you guys don't want to mess with the spot market. You want to do this transfer, and it's like third party is kind of like an escrow. So in this article, talks about, what is GBTC. I'll put the link to some of these articles down in the description if anybody wants to read them. I don't need to go into that too much, but that's what's happening with these big deals. They want to do over-the-counter Bitcoin. So it affects the price, but it doesn't. It's moving from one wallet to the other through a third party, so it's not being dumped on the spot market. But it's not that these people that wanted to sell, now they're not selling that on the spot market. So at least these big entities that wanted to sell, they're at least not selling it now. So we're like, well, if they're not selling it, the big sellers that want to get rid of this BTC, if they're not dumping it on the spot market, but the price is still going down, like what the hell are you talking about? Well, I kind of explained that already. The traders that were looking to take profit up there are doing that. So bulls were taking profit at this level, traders. Then bears who wanted to short at a better price. I'm not talking about these clown bears on Twitter. I'm going to talk about them a little bit later. I'm talking about like real bear traders or just traders that are looking to short or think that's a good place to short. As it's racing up, trending through the 40s, they're not going to short. They're going to look for a better price to short. So a better price to short instead of 43 or 44K, people who actually know what they're doing, like, no, it's likely going to go up there at 48K. And that's when I'm going to start shorting. So that's what creates these patterns, and it starts creating patterns on smaller time frames, and you get day traders shorting. That's what's creating the sell pressure. So at least that this over-the-counter Bitcoin isn't being dumped on the market. Now, why it's important, look at this graph. Look at this. This is way more than it has been as far as this graph goes back. This is the best one I could find. I try to look at like how much over-the-counter Bitcoin is there out there, and I couldn't find that number. However, I have to imagine it's only a certain amount because you have to have somebody who wants to sell. You truly have to have somebody that wants to sell that. Like these third parties have to have a client that actually want to sell the over-the-counter Bitcoin. So if that dries up, and then Fidelity, BlackRock, all these places, they have to continue to buy for the ETF. To be 100% honest, I'm not sure how that works because I know they don't want to go to the spot market for it. But this huge influx of over-the-counter Bitcoin, you can't discount that. That's happening right now. And then I want to show one other article right now. Bear with me for a second. I'm doing this on StreamYard, so I have to change it like this. Okay, so Bitcoin sees largest short-term holder activity since May 2021 with 6.1 billion transferred. The trading dynamics of the Bitcoin ETF, blah, 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 blah. A trading behavior trend of short-term holders. These investors who held Bitcoin for less than 155 days transferred a staggering 6.1 billion to exchanges. So this is on chain, guys. This isn't like manipulation news or whatever. This is on chain. So short-term holders, what did I say? Traders. And I even pointed out the weekly talking about people that got in at these certain places. I mean, most of that was in the last 6 months. They said, this is about like 6 months or so. So short-term holders. Last time I looked, it was like 70% of Bitcoin was in long-term hands. So, this is another point of confluence to show that like overall, some of these things locally on the daily and even patterns on the weekly, you're seeing that can point to a pause in the market. That macro you're still kind of seeing this is like some of these short-term things that could be expected from traders and from the things that were going to happen with the ETF. All right, so let's pause about BTC for a second and look at the ETH chart. But why people are so focused on BTC is because they know, BTC is the market mover, no doubt about it. BTC is a leader. However, you have to realize, generally speaking, BTC and alts do not make the same tops and bottoms. And it's common knowledge to most people that are in the space that BTC has a strong move up. And then, generally speaking, I mean, this isn't a guarantee, but if the past is any indication, the profits roll into ETH and then they roll into alts. So that's what we're going to take a deep dive into here, the next part of the video, to see if that could be what's happening right now. So for right now, I try to stay a leg ahead of the rest of the market. So everyone's stressing out about Bitcoin. You see, I had orders to sell up there, and that my focus had been on ETH, going into this, week or last several days or whatever. So we look at the Bitcoin chart. So this is ETH on the daily. All right, are we seeing the same like really bearish price action on the daily for ETH? Not really. I mean, this isn't a great candle. This is an outside bar, a bearish outside bar. You call it a double top, higher high double top, whatever. It doesn't really matter what you call these things. I look at gaps in the market. I think gaps turn this thrown around a lot. I'm a price action guy. You don't ever see indicators on my chart or some of these complicated gap things that people talk about. I look to the left where the wick's at. Because this is like a line in the sand for traders. So it did not come down and touch this wick, and it actually wicked up. So what that means is a lot of traders consider this a breakout point. There's a lot of orders set here. So the bulls did not even let it get down there, which shows, eager buyers. And then it even wicked up. Now, an outside bar going the other way can be a reversal, but today, so guys who shorted that looking at a reversal, that's disappointment. They're not getting any follow through now. But the real thing when we look at ETH is the weekly. Now, the weekly hasn't closed yet, but I'm going to talk about it. It closes tomorrow. All right. That is bullish. I don't, look at this over here. This is like a breakout candle. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit of what can happen tomorrow. So where's the closest swing high in the market? 3,600. All right. And we're going to talk about, well, can ETH go up there if Bitcoin has weakness? We're going to look at that. Just bear with me, guys. So this is a breakout. ETH has been ranging. People have been impatient with it, wondering what's up with ETH, what's up with my altcoins, because most of the people that follow me, most people in my Telegram, they're hitting me up, stressed out. They're worried about bag holding their alts. What's happened to BTC? BTC selling off. What's going to happen with my alts? I can't guarantee anything, but we're going to look at past things and what happened, and can we get this ETH roll off and a blow off into an alt season? All right, so you're getting the ETH closing above structure. I mean, it hasn't closed yet, but so what can bears? So sometimes when I make really accurate price projections at certain times, people are like, how'd you know that? It's because I try to project these candle closes out, like as a weekly or daily candles closing. I'm like, who has more to gain here, the bulls or the bears? So if you're a bear and you want to short ETH, the best you could hope for here is a close below its midpoint. That's the best they can really, they're not turning this candle bearish at this point. They're not going to sell it down here and make a huge long wick. Look at where the midpoint is right here. And this is some actually, I think it's more of a coincidence, not necessarily like, but it's still confluence. So it's also where these wicks are, where the 50% of the candle would be. So you have 2 points of bull confluence where they're going to defend that if bears try to come out and push that down tomorrow night. You have to think real traders, not these Twitter clowns. Are they going to go out there and waste their money trying to short it just to prove they were right on a post, a few months ago saying the ETH's going to go down? No, they're going to look for a better place to short ETH. So this candle is like a breakout candle for ETH. Now, bulls may even come out tomorrow night and try to close it more towards its high. I don't know if they'll do that now. ETH it went up today. You saw the daily candle. So it was more like around here, like 2,500 last time I was looking at it. Then bears could have had a chance to maybe push it under these wicks and its midpoint, and that would have been the best victory they could really hope for. So that's ETH on the daily and weekly, and now we're about to look at ETH versus BTC. All right, so here we have ETH versus BTC. We're just on the weekly, I'm not even gonna mess with a daily chart on this. And look at this candle. It's kind of funny to me because look at how bullish this is. I know this is a pair versus, ETH versus BTC, but look, outside bar closing above what the last, I don't know, 12, 13 candles at least. I mean, that is a bullish pattern. And let's zoom out a little bit. What else do you have? A macro double, a wick, a macro like wiki double bottom. On a macro scale, if you look over to the left, I talk about gaps and candles to the left, didn't get anywhere close to that. Now, what does this mean? So there is, so either that means that ETH is going to gain. It should gain on the value of BTC. Now it could do that two ways. That means that ETH could either go up and BTC stay the same or go down, or BTC could go down and ETH stay the same. So if BTC went down and ETH stayed the same, you're not going to get probably a whole lot of action from alts. It could be one or the two. To me, just based off of this, I'm looking at ETH. It looks like ETH's going to go up versus BTC. But we're going to look at historically when we've seen some of these candles here, these kind of break, and even going back, and I'm not going to look at them. I have the dates written down. When you see these kind of patterns, that where ETH either had a reversal pattern, a big bullish candle versus Bitcoin, and what happened. So we're going to look at that now. All right, guys. So here we are on BTC and ETH. You got the chart side by side. This is Coinbase chart on the daily. So, and I didn't cherry pick any of these dates or anything like that. Is when I saw ETH versus BTC when it's showing some kind of reversal. But the first one, actually, when I went back in time, I noticed this one, that this actually wasn't a time on chart. But when I went back, I had noticed this as well. So you got January 8, 2021. All right. So BTC had a topping pattern and went down. What happened with ETH? It ultimately went up. This is like a data. I mean, BTC did go up, but you see during the same time frame, ETH outperformed BTC. So go a little bit further. So this is where I start to see bottoming patterns and like ETH versus Bitcoin reversals. All right. So Bitcoin went up a little, went like sideways to a little bit up. And what did ETH do? ETH went parabolic. So this is March 29th, 2021. So that's two examples where ETH showed a lot of strength when Bitcoin was sideways to down. So there's another time. So this is October 18th, 2021. Let's see what ETH did. All right. Once again, you see Bitcoin. This is when it made a double top into the cycle. It's flat sideways to a little bit up. ETH definitely went up. It had an alt blow off. So that's two examples. In all three of those examples, Bitcoin had been in an uptrend prior to. All right, so now you get these two that I had seen on the ETH BTC chart as well. All right, the first one. So Bitcoin here, and it continued to go down more. ETH kind of went sideways. So this is like the second scenario I said where Bitcoin went down and ETH kind of just held its own. So you probably didn't get much of an alt blow off or roll off there or anything like that. Same thing here. So Bitcoin went up a little bit. ETH did a little bit better than Bitcoin. So that was another time when I seen on the ETH versus BTC. So in this scenario, BTC was coming from a downtrend. So the other three, BTC had been in an uptrend, and this one had been in a downtrend. But if you're going to answer the question, can ETH show strength and still make its own move with BTC going sideways to down, where you've seen a few examples? Now, does that mean it's going to happen for sure? No, we don't know for sure what's going to happen. All we can do is look at the past and see, look at those examples and see, could we see those conditions forming again? And you've seen examples showing that, yes, ETH can show strength and still go up and have these legs up when BTC goes sideways to down. Now, can it make it all the way to 3,600? I don't know. We're going to have to see. 33,000 is a round number. Markets like round numbers, could sell off there. We're just going to have to see. But you do have some conditions forming for an alt season. All right, now we're going to look at another chart, total 3. So this is crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. Now, this has broken above this high, close. We have good alt gains. So you have a little bit of a topping, a little bit of a reversal pattern here. But if you look to the left, where is this wick at? Look at these wicks. They touch right to that top over there. And you're getting, even though it seems like a bearish week, a bullish candle. And this is on a weekly chart. Can it reach up here to this swing high, and double in market cap? I don't know. But there's not any major swing high in its way to keep it from going up. So that's another check for a potential, alt season. And, I'm not guaranteeing anything, it's not financial advice like everyone says. But, people are predominantly stressing out about their alts, and especially, on my Telegram, we call lots of low cap AI coins. We're on Morales money screening things on chain all the time. And, if you're stressed out and you're up good on some of these alts, take some profit. If you're stressed out and it's messing with you emotionally, then take some profit. You know what I mean? If you're up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x on some of these things, because you don't know it's going to go up. And even if it does go up, new things will start coming out on chain. You may want some USDT, off to the side for these things. So it's never a bad idea if you're up a lot to take profit in some of these stressful market times and situations. And I'm not cherry picking any of these examples. I'm not trying to pick bullish examples for this. I try to keep it honest. I will open up the video talking about some of the bearish things we're seeing on Bitcoin. But I'm really trying to look at all the charts that we can to see what's going on in the market. So that's what we're seeing with Total 3. So there's one last chart I want to look at, and I think it's a really important chart to look at where you're at in like the overall market cycle. And this is USDT market cap. So I have some things highlighted up here to show you, the Luna collapse, here. This is where Luna started collapse here. And that's really, what a lot of people say in the bear market started or whatever. And look at that. And then you get the FTX collapse here. So these big events, you get these legs down. So is this a guarantee? Oh, and this right here, if you look at a monthly chart, because normally when I do this, look at a monthly chart. So it's a little clearer to see there, the Luna collapse, FTX collapse. And this is where Bitcoin broke out of that massive head and shoulders on the weekly. And that was all actually one of the strongest candles in Bitcoin's history. So, this isn't 100% thing. Like when it up in here, Bitcoin made an all-time high, took a 50% chop, and then made the second all-time high for a double top. This isn't a one-to-one comparison with Bitcoin. And some people like to point out, some bears like to say, well, you can short with USDT too. Absolutely, you can. And when people post like these whale movements, like moving, however 100 million or something like that onto Coinbase or Binance, I point that out. But from a macro scale, that is not what we've seen. When we've seen USDT printing, then that has coincided with higher prices ultimately for crypto. Now, is USDT a scam? I'm not here to debate that. If we get those kinds of things, then I'll be out the market before that happens. We're going to see bearish things as this market progresses. U.S. regulation, Elizabeth Warren tweets, Elizabeth Warren, she's going to show her head again. All these U.S. politicians, they're like a puppet. They pull the string and they pay them to say whatever you want them to say. Elizabeth Warren, look at how many bills she's got passed. It's like none. So, but you're going to get that. You're going to get altcoin, maybe classified security FUD. You're going to get some USDT FUD, throughout the cycle. And you're going to get red candles for sure. But when you look at this USDT dominance chart, they're printing. So I don't see any collapse in USDT right now. And these bears act like there's going to be an hourly candle down to 12K or something like that. But we'll look at this real quick, and then, we're going to do close the video out. So I want to close the video out with a quote from somebody else. So there's two YouTube channels I watch sometimes. I come up with my own analysis ultimately, but there's two YouTube channels I enjoy watching. One is Ivan on Tech, and one is Jordan Cameron. Ivan might be a little overly bullish now, but ultimately he's probably right. He's looking at things more, macro scale, and ultimately I think he's probably right. We go up. Jordan, I think he's a little bit taking some profits on BTC here. But I want to play a video that Jordan, I posted this on Twitter a few times, that Jordan said it was around Christmas time.
The Bears? Oh, the Bears are done. Like the Bears, man, like they have no father figure. They're already gotten kicked in the nuts, right? And what's going to happen is if we dump from here, the Bears will be like, I told you. But it'll be the same people that were telling me at 40K, right? So like, did you really tell me? No, you didn't. You didn't really tell me, bro. You didn't really tell me that the Bears are finished, bro. The Bears are finished. Unless it's someone who flipped bear like right here, and this was the local top, and Bitcoin's going to 32K or some shit. Then you told me.
And I want to play that because you're gonna get these guys. They come out every red candle. It seems like these bears come out their cave, and wanting to say I told you so. And this game is very emotional, and a lot of these bears, they want to be validated about, being right so bad. And they want to say, 12K, still sticking to their guns with that. And, that's what I talked about a couple times, like these clown Twitter bears, that it seems like they just don't really even know how to read price action and they just want to be validated. You got in and you rode this thing up. Like a guy that I traded with, I had her from like 6 or 8 months. He messaged me yesterday for the first time in a long time, warning me that 14K Bitcoin was imminent. And he's a little, I like him. So if he watches this, I'm certainly not targeting. He's not one of these clown Twitter. He's a Forex trader more or less. And a lot of these Forex guys, I don't know, there's always, I guess from day trading, there's always looking at reversals or whatever. But I sent him the screenshots of buying at 15, how some of my orders got filled at 49K. And I was like, don't worry about me. I'm okay, man. But some of these Twitter bears, the reason I'm bringing it up, because they're going to get in your head, and, if you're scared about a pullback and you're up a lot, I said, not financial advice, take profit. But these guys are going to come out here. They're going to come out the cave with every red candle saying, I told you so. And just like Jordan just said right there, you've been, these guys have been eating every green candle saying short. Some people are just perma bears or perma bulls. And I've already proved I'm not a perma bull. I mean, I'm saying I'm selling Bitcoin right now. So I'm just putting this out because so much of this game is psychological. Everybody wants some kind of like magical pattern or something like that. Like if you see these conditions, then this is going to happen. And the reason why I don't see 12K in the cards is because how the market went up. Now, when it started to race up here, if it would have done like it did over here and went up parabolically, it didn't build structure. Like I said, how it went down over here, we referenced that earlier in the video. Then you could have seen maybe and people are looking for this because it happened before. So that's what the thing is going to repeat again. That doesn't necessarily happen, And if you want to call it a black swan, all these bears are saying macro black swan, macro black swan. A black swan, by definition, is an unpredictable event. So you can't necessarily call for a black swan. It's like every day, if you say it, I guess eventually, you'd be right. A broken clock is right twice a day, like they say. But I'm just putting this out because these bears are going to be coming out on Twitter if Bitcoin has red candles, and they're going to try to get in your head. And, at the end of the day, you have to decide what you want to do psychologically. Are you scared to death about these guys saying they're right about 12K? And the reason I say it, so it built this structure here. When it ranged from here for a long time, honestly, that was the best thing that could happen. So when we broke out there with this strong candle, I said, 12K Bitcoin, very low probability now. You're going to need a black swan. I mean, look at these EMAs, man. In any EMA, you want to, different people can say different EMAs are important, but they're all sloping up this thick layer of price action here that has history. It's going to take a lot for it to push it down. I mean, and say like war isn't always bad for markets or whatever. Recession, those things can take a long time to play out. And then that's even kind of ambiguous. I've talked in previous videos about interest rate things, some of the points that they bring up themselves. So that's why I don't see those kind of lows in the cards. But if it does, then I will see that on chart and I will get out. I'm not worried about bag holding like that. I told these guys, because I hit all these major swings up and down for Bitcoin. Every time it was going up to those major swings and back down, I wrote it up. I said, Bitcoin can go down to 10K, I'll still be up. And they still tell me to be careful. So, misery loves company. And at the end of the day, you don't let these guys get in your head. Make a decision on what you want to do and what you're seeing. I would advise don't listen to any perma bear or any perma bull. And at the end of the day, you got to make your own decisions in this market. So I know this video is a little bit long, but you can tell it was fairly in depth. And thanks for anybody who paid attention to the end. All right, later, guys.